Zagazao, Zigazao, Zagazao. I don't have any music for you guys today, but I'm going to play the music. Good morning, New York. Good afternoon, London, Lagos, Dakar. Good afternoon, evening to Nairobi. This is Lolade Siyonbola here with Unplugged, Black Genius Unplugged, our way of, bringing you the same knowledge of Black genius, but with just the truth, the unfiltered truth. It's just me today, and I want to be sharing with you some of my life lessons. The Holy Spirit put it on my heart to just like go and share these lessons because they are priceless, and you just can't hoard it all and keep it all to yourself. So I'm here to share with you some of my life lessons from the last year, and of course, a lot of this stuff is just like messages that have been coming to me over the years that I haven't really tuned into or started to apply until this last year. And it's been the first time in my life where I've had so much space, space to really breathe, think, be, and to not be in a hurry to get anywhere. My PhD program is very flexible. It doesn't force me to like sit in class, for 5 hours a day or whatever. It's a lot of freedom, and I've really, really keyed into and taken advantage of that freedom to do a lot of, healing work, just deep, deep healing work, reading all the books, doing all the exercises, meditating, sleeping, talking to my therapist, talking to my friends, just, really, really keying into the support systems around me. And, all of that as I build NOIR Labs. And so for those of you who don't know, I'm a mom. My daughter's 11. She's more like my sister, but, that's my baby. Her father passed in 2011, so we've been riding together since then. Just the two of us. My family has stepped in and helped out here and there. So really, everything that I'm manifesting right now is just a testimony. It's just a testimony to the goodness of God, because it would have been really easy for me to stay, in my corporate bubble in New York. It would have been easy maybe for anybody else. For me, it was harder to stay in that world and in that mindset than it was to leave. And so leaving corporate meant just taking all the risks, just like no certainty, no guarantees. And even in corporate, there's no guarantees because you get laid off, a worldwide pandemic could hit and you get laid off, right? But if you are building your empire from within, there is absolutely no pandemic. There is no terrorist attack. There is nothing that will stop you from having an income and a livelihood. And so for me, it's always been this journey to figure out, how can I live life on my own terms, by my own values? How can I create a life in which I don't have to bend to anybody's whim or anybody else's value system? How can I honor what I believe in and what's valuable and what's true to me? And so in leaving corporate, I had to start asking these questions. I started finding out, some answers. But the way the Holy Spirit works, He doesn't just drop everything on you once. It's not like you ever get one book that has all the answers to all your problems and all your questions. But you get the book that you need right then. You get the person that you need right then. You get the message that you need right then. Things just show up for you where you need them to be and when you need them. And the only way you're able to recognize these things is by paying attention. Paying attention. And most of us are not really paying attention if we're keeping it 100. Most of us are in a race. I mean, clearly Corona has slowed a lot of us down, but I got friends in New York that still got to work. A lot of people still have to work. And so now, the summer, everything's been back open. Even here in Cambridge, it's like back to normal. Yes, the new normal with the masks and everything. But, a lot of people have lost their jobs. But those who have the opportunity to still keep going, a lot of us are still racing, still running the rat race. And I guess for me, I needed to live in my truth. I really desperately needed to be alone with my truth and find a way to explore that and use it to make the life I want, and we all make mistakes. We all, I'm gonna try not to cuss for the people with the kids watching, but we all screw up. And when we screw up, we have options, right? We could sit and wallow in the regret of that. We could blame everybody else. We could be mad. or we could move through it, or we could just push forward and be like, okay, this is what God wants me to learn from this, and being able to acknowledge, what changes you need to make to have the life you want, being able to pay attention to your inner voice, being able to pay attention to God and see when God's talking to you, like those are magic powers. Those are magical powers because that's literally all it takes to manifest what you want. That's really all it takes is the ability to listen and to pay attention. So all of that said, I'm gonna go into my, my kind of overview of what I want to talk about today. So I said it was going to be lessons over the last year, and I tried to put them into categories. Hopefully, it'll make sense to you. But the first thing I want to talk about is knowing your inherent worth, knowing your inherent value. Right? A lot of us are taught that we don't have any value, whether it's explicitly said to us or subliminally. We are internalizing this message that we don't have value unless. So I'm going to talk about that. I want to talk about doing less. I want to talk about going within, and all of these things really are like the same thing, but I'm going to break them down a bit more. So your intrinsic value, doing less, going within, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go to people, the assholes, the people who like you're holding on to, the outcomes you're holding on to. Whew, we gotta let go. We gotta let go. Okay. Letting go and manifesting your dreams. I also have take up space in there, but some of these are combined. So we'll see how it plays out. But the first thing I want to talk about is value and self-worth. I definitely came from that background where you were not given, the encouragement, the empowerment to feel like you're a queen, you're glorious, you're powerful, there's nothing you can't do, So I internalized those messages and growing up in the West, in America. So I had the messages at home and then I had the messages on TV that were subliminally telling me that, you're not valuable unless you do this, right? Unless you work really hard or unless you light skin or you white or whatever. And so for me to come into a place of like valuing myself, that took years. I'm still working on it. It took many, 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 many years. And I feel like I'm in a good place now where I know I'm the shit. I know I'm the shit. And this is the first time in my life where I could say that, I really understood that, and I'm surrounded by people who are the shit, but don't know it, don't have a clue that, they're the best thing since sliced bread. And value is something that nobody can define for you. A lot of us have, allowed our value to be defined externally, yes, societally, media messages, etc. What our parents say, what our siblings say, what family members say. But we all take our value for the most part from external voices, external sources, and none of that is, none of that is gonna help you be and have, what you want. There's 9 people watching, supposedly according to StreamYard. Can y'all drop an emoji? Let me know where you're at. Let me know what you want to manifest. Let me know what your wildest dream is, because I wanna help you make it happen. So value. So if you have any questions about that, thoughts on that, I want to see your comments on value and how how do you know your worth. But it also ties into integration. So nobody has had the journey you've had, right? Like the unique set of circumstances that had to happen for you to be born and for you to be who you are and love what you love right now, like they don't exist for anybody else. There's no other you. There's nobody else who comes remotely close to being you. I know you've heard these messages before, but I'm going to tell you because, when I talk about integration, I brought Michelle, my therapist, on here, once, and probably will be bringing her back. But she taught me about integration and the power that we have to accept every part of us. We're really good at judging ourselves, at rejecting ourselves, because, like I said, we have these internalized messages. We reject certain parts of ourselves, right? We say that this is shameful or this is, not as good as that. So I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna put it, in the background for now, And so I'm gonna hop around these different identities or these different spaces and be this one thing in that space. But then when it's time to, be alone, I don't know which of those spaces, is me. And so my conversation with Michelle, I talked about how, I had the Christian side, and then I had the the spiritual mystical side. And then I had the technology, the tech side. Then I had the village woman side, because you will see me chewing on a chewing stick in Brooklyn. I give no, right? There's the village woman, there's the scholar, the academic, there's all these different things. And for a long time, I struggled with the range in my interests and the range in my talents, because I just didn't have anybody around me who embodied that, who encouraged that, who was excited about that. Everybody was like, you need to focus on one thing. And then I read this book. I don't have it in front of me. It's called The Renaissance Soul. So check that out. If you're someone like me who has an insane amount of talents or interests, check out The Renaissance Soul. It's about how to navigate that, how to look at all the different things that you care about and streamline and put them in an order of prioritization and say, okay, I'm gonna do this first, and then I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do that. And so integration, the shameful things that have happened to you, the shameful things that you've done that you're not proud of, that you don't want anybody to know about, it's all part of your story. It's all part of who you are. Acknowledge it, face it. You have to take time. I always promote meditation. We have our Global Black Meditation on Wednesdays here, noon EST. Definitely, tune in for that. And we're going to do more meditation. I'm going to start leading some as well. When you are quiet, when you are quiet and you are breathing for long periods of time, extended periods of time, clarity begins to come, right? And if you never have that moment of quiet, you're not going to know yourself. You're not going to know what you really, because like I said, we're all being programmed from outside. So meditation is key. And so I'll go back to this idea of integration and value, because nobody has the unique set of circumstances that you've had to exist, right? Nobody has the varied interests that you have alongside the varied talents. And when you key in to all the different things that have brought you to where you are, you're basically, expressing gratitude for where you are for the moment. I went to make some photocopies earlier at Wilson College, and the porter was like, he said something about, he's getting old, don't do it, something like that. And I was like, something I heard in a hospital in Queens years ago. I said, getting old is a privilege denied to many, right? So I'm here for it. I'm all for getting old because I want to enjoy all the fruits of my labor. Thank you. Okay. But it's gratitude, right? And so I'm here in this moment. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I have something that I can gain and something I can give from this moment. And if I'm willing to acknowledge that, then that tells God, that tells the universe that I want more. I want more of this goodness. I want more of this opportunity to breathe, to be alive, to give, to experience. So gratitude is key, and acknowledging your value, acknowledging all the things that have come together to make you who you are and put you where you are right now is the highest form of gratitude. And so when you integrate that, then the kind of service you can give to the world, the kind of talents, the way that you would share your talents with the world, nobody else could do that. Nobody else could do what you can do. And so inherently in the fact that God chose to create you, you have value. There's something that you do that makes people want to be around you. Otherwise, nobody would be around you, right? So what's most valuable about you? Drop it in the comments or write it in your, I want to see some stuff in the comments, but also write it in a journal if you have one. I believe very much in journaling and writing things down. Oh my God, it's such a superpower. These are the little things they don't teach us in school, guys. These are your superpowers. The words that come out of your mouth and your pen dictate the future. So, okay, value. I need you to know your value. I need you to be able to express your value, right? And sometimes that's tied into money. We're going to talk about money on some of these unplugged. Um, but so on the one hand, if you're applying for a job and you're asking for a particular salary, then yeah, you need to express a certain value. But value just comes down to like, how do you let people treat you? Do you teach people how to treat you, or do you let them treat you however they want? You know, if you know that you have value, or you add value to people's lives, you're not going to take crap. You're going to express, what you want. You're going to take up space. You're not going to be afraid to say like, actually, I'm not. I don't really like that. Can you do it differently? That's it. And when you do that, that lets people know, like, okay, the fastest way to get what you want is to say no to something that you don't. You have to know what you want. So value. Let me know if you have any questions about that. And as I talk about these things, because I think about them from an individual perspective, but also from a racial perspective, right? Everything that I'm going to talk about that has to do with healing yourself, your trauma, it's the same stuff that Black people as a global, I don't know what to call Black people because we're not a community. Like, stop saying the Black community. That's stupid because we're not 10 people. So I don't know what to call the Black people, but the Black peoples of the world, right? We have the same people of African descent. We have the same kind of string of trauma from our ancestral lines, from things that happened to us on this planet. So all of these things, like, they come together to, destroy very destructive traumas. So as I talk about these ways of healing the individual, I want you guys to think about them as means of healing, the global Black race population, you know, everything that we are. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about is doing less. Doing less. And it comes back, same thing to raise. It comes back to being a woman. I'm the oldest of 7. I was, responsible for raising 3 of my siblings. And my parents were there for sure. But, we were mostly on our own. And so I internalized this idea that my value came from the work that I did, right? The labor that I produced. And that labor went into caring for my siblings. It went into like producing good work at school, right? I got a pat on the back when, when I got A's or whatever, I did well in school. That was the closest thing I got to like love and affection, right? It was like, okay, you got A's, that's good. Okay, check mark. And so like, that became love for me, right? That became value for me. Like, okay, you've produced, and that's true for so many Black people and women especially, And so we get it in the home, we get it on the television, we get it in the news media. Like the most valuable Black women, work hard and do the labor, and they accept whatever's thrown at them, and they let their man shoot them and don't tell nobody. Y'all are not gonna kill Black women. Not today. Not in 2020. You're not gonna kill us because you come from us, right? Oh my goodness. So Black women, we've been taught that, our labor is our worth. And I've internalized that for sure. And so last year, 2 people, one of the ways that there's something that you need to learn like urgently is when it's coming from multiple sources in a short period of time, right? So 2 people said to me within just over 24 hours of each other that I needed to put myself first, right? It was my doctor. And when she said it to me, I was like, first thing I thought was like, of course I put myself first. Like, I be taking soaps in a tub, I buy expensive groceries, like I eat really well. And, it became clear in that conversation that I put myself first after my work. After work, which is God. My mom used to say what her mom would tell her, your work is your husband. Ain't that some shit? Your work is your husband. That's what, Nigerian women, a lot of women believe, right? Like, put yourself fully into your work and you will be fine, right? Because the work will take care of you. So she told me to put myself first. And then the next day, Annie White told me to put myself first and, to give myself what I was seeking externally. And again, when these women were saying this to me, I literally did not understand what it meant to put myself first. Like that, it was a brand new concept. It was something that I had to research. you know, self-worth, self-love, self-care, self-compassion. These things, like, they sound like light words, but they are the things that liberate you. And they're the things that will liberate us as a people. So let me just shout out everybody in the comments. Hi, Uzo. Hi, Kirsten. Hi, Edirin. Edirin said, here for a good time, not a long time. Stick around. Listen, if we don't know our value, nobody else is going to treat us like we have value. And so that applies to you as an individual, and it applies to us as Black people. We need to know what our intrinsic value is, the unique set of circumstances that allowed us to be here right now at this moment, feeling the way we feel, doing the things that we do, giving the things that we can give. And we need to capitalize on that. We need to celebrate that. We need to amplify that. Okay? So these two women told me to put myself first and to give myself what I needed. And Annie White would say, if you do less, then God does more. And that quote just stopped me in my tracks. I was like, what? it hit so hard, because I was like, that feels true. But it was a showstopper for me. It was like, oh, if I do less, God does more. If I do less, God does more. I could do less and God does more, and then I wouldn't have to do so much. And what does that mean? What does it mean to do less? What does it mean to let God do more? Oh, that might have to take me into manifestation. Just pin that for now. Just think about the ways that you give, do, don't stop. And what that feels like. Does it feel good? Does it make you want more? Or is it exhausting? Hi, Alex. He says, so many truths we didn't even know were a thing you are sharing here today. Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Share it. Let's get the word out. But you have to be able to kind of let go, right? Manifestation, doing less, going within, taking up space, knowing your value, all these things start with letting go. And when you've come from circumstances, when you didn't have everything like doled out to you, handed out to you, it was easy. How are you gonna tell me to let go? Like, okay, I'm supposed to just not work. I'm supposed to just not like hustle hard and grind until I die. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're not. I'm telling you, I'm giving you permission. Like, that's not what you're supposed to do. When you let go, what happens is that shit just starts to show up. Things just start to show up in your life that you did not do anything to get, right? Like gifts, people, the right people, the answers, the questions that you've been asking, things just start to show up, right? The Deepaks of the world call it, synchronicity. But that ability to release things that we expect to be our outcomes, the things that we hope for, the people that we are holding on to that we need validation from, the institutions that give us validation, When we let go of all of that for 1 minute in meditation, there's a light within us that begins to like come back to life, right? It's always been there, but it gets gets quieted, it gets dimmed by the circumstances of the world, because the world was not created as a place for people to, always be on fairy level. The way that this planet, the structures of this planet are designed to dim your light. That's literally, how things work. So to even be able to tap into your light is an unheard of gift. So in order for you to be able to tap into your light, you have to be able to let go. And that comes from, yes, meditating. It also comes from, thought patterns, right? I'm sure you guys have done a lot of law of attraction stuff, and you heard about, like, our thoughts. And I said it earlier, our words are powerful. Our thoughts, become our words, and that's what becomes our reality. And so when your thoughts, are directing you to hold on, to expect, to demand, then that's what your body's going to do. But if you reprogram your thoughts to say, okay, I'm just going to see how this works out. I'm going to take a deep breath here. I'm just going to be here. I'm going to see what happens. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to do all the labor. I'm just going to exist, and I have a right to exist. I have a right to just be here, existing, taking up space, not producing anything for anybody in that moment. That is my birthright. So when you can look at what's on your plate, what's before you, how much you're doing, and if you feel something come up like, this is the thing that I need to let go, let it go. Let it go. Just, there's nothing that you desire that you truly manifest by doing. And that's going to be the thing that I talk about with manifestation. You don't actually make things happen. What you do is you allow your destiny to manifest. The thing that was already written before you were put here. You give it space to become real by knowing it, by keying into it, by paying attention to it. That's really what you're ultimately doing. So letting go is something that you can do when you know that you have value and that things will work out for you because you're here for a reason. Right? And you don't have to do anything to earn that value. You just have to state it. You just have to know it. And it's like that truth is already within you. Like it's part of what you came here with, is that knowledge. But if all the messages coming in from outside are telling you the opposite, it can be really hard, to drown that voice out. But when you take time to close your eyes and go within, which is one of my other 5 tips, then you are basically just giving yourself a chance to look at your destiny, to look at what was written for you to do, what was written for you to experience. It was already there. Like you already. I was speaking to Fashola the other day. Fashola, say something if you're watching, and so he told me something about Ifa tradition, and I'm going to talk about religious beliefs in a second. But he told me something about Ifa, and he said how, when you come, before you come to the planet, before you come to Earth, you make a deal with, God or Rumala, all the, deities, and you've already chosen what destiny you want to live out on Earth. Now you get to choose that, but there's this other council of spirits that will determine what circumstances you have to enter the world with, right? So your spirit comes to the earth knowing, like, this is what I'm gonna do, and then the angels, the deities, they say, okay, that's what you want to do, but you have to do it in spite of these circumstances that we're going to put you in. And so ultimately your goal as a spirit is to come through here, this dimension, and live out your purpose, right? And there will be all the things that will knock you down on the way, like left and right. You'll get knocked down. It will be all these things that make you feel like, oh, I can't do this. I give up. I stop. I'm gonna stop here. You know, but that's your destiny. Like that's what you're supposed to do. Like that's literally already written in your DNA because you came here with it, right? And so when he said that, it just felt so true. It just made so much sense because when you look at it from the Christian perspective, you know, I consider myself a Christian. I consider myself a mystical Christian because I love me some Black Jesus, but I do recognize the universalities across multiple religions across the globe, and so a lot of things just make the same kind of sense, and it doesn't make sense to judge people because they practice a different religion than me, right? And so, from the Christian perspective, Christians believe in destiny. This idea that you came here with a purpose, God created you for a reason, and you have to manifest that. And you can look around and see that yes, people come here with all kinds of circumstances, and they still can, key in to what God is telling them to do in order to manifest those circumstances, that dream, that purpose. So manifestation is ultimately about allowing what was already written in your DNA, in your soul, in your spirit to happen, and not getting in the way of it, not blocking it, not being so afraid that you reject it, just allowing yourself to feel good, allowing yourself to enjoy this experience. We've been taught that this experience is supposed to be hard, supposed to be all this labor, but what if it's not? What if it's not supposed to be hard? What if it's supposed to be as easy as just like saying things and then they happen? What would that be like? That's the life I'm trying to live. I'm looking at my notes. So I had some more notes under go within, and letting go. So I want to go a little bit more in depth with those. Ooh, I have a lot more notes. Okay. So as far as going within, meditating, all of that, like you have to do the work. You have to do the work of pulling out the trauma, right? We all have trauma. If you Black in 2020 and you don't have trauma, I want to meet you because I need to absorb, some of that knowledge of how you were raised for our utopia that we're building in Senegal. But we all have one form of trauma or the other, and whether it comes from our ancestors, whether it comes from our parents, whether it comes from being Black in the West, being Black in Africa, being middle class or poor in Africa, we all have one form or the other of trauma. And so a lot of us have internalized, the pain from our childhoods and even beyond. And that pain, that trauma is what dictates, the life that we live. It dictates the choices that we make. And so if we don't acknowledge that trauma, then we're not living from our light. We're not living from our purpose. We're just living from our pain. And in order to acknowledge it, you have to spend time alone with your thoughts, time alone with your feelings. All the times that you internalized a hurtful message, a violent message, you accepted it, as like truth for who you are. All the times when whether people put their hands on you or they said things to you, they did things to you, it's all there still in your body if you haven't looked at it. If you haven't spoken to that younger version of yourself or looked at those moments, those traumas, then they're still there. And they're manifesting in one way or the other, physically in your body or in cycles in your life that you obviously are going to want to break. But the only way for you to, heal those traumas is to look for them, is to look at them. The things that come up, when you think about your childhood, the painful memories, like those are things that you need to look at. The voices that, that said you wouldn't be shit. Just look at them, spend time with them, and whether it's writing them down, whether it's talking to God about them, it's really important to be able to acknowledge and deal with these things. And because what it does is, first of all, you're allowing off layers of darkness, right? So your light gets brighter. But, it also makes it easier for you to be happy, right? To key into joy, to find joy in all things. Um, when we allow these traumas to just kind of lurk in our bodies, they manifest in physical pain. Michelle talked about that on her episode. They manifest in, us doing things that we feel are out of character. So maybe we get angry. I have a lot of anger. You see me cussing people out. We get angry, or we're depressive. Like there's these cycles of emotional behavior, emotional patterns that we don't realize are coming from trauma that we haven't addressed. So it's important to look at it, pull it out, write about it, talk to therapists about it. Because again, as you heal your trauma as an individual, you're helping the Black globe to heal our collective trauma so that we can manifest our liberation. Because that also was already written, right? So as Black people universally, we have a destiny to manifest, and that destiny is liberation. And the only way we're going to be able to manifest that is if we pay attention to like our inner voice on an individual level. All right. Okay, so I have some notes under letting go. So letting go, I talked about, letting go of the outcomes that you expect, that you want. I talked about letting go of people and things that, don't serve you. When you know what you want, you don't need anything else, right? You don't need to cloud your space, your mind, your heart with anything that's not what you want. If you don't know what you want, you're going to get a whole lot of bullshit that you don't want, because you're asking the universe to throw you stuff at you so you can figure out, what's good. But when you know what you want, that's what starts happening, and it makes it easier for you to reject all the things that are not what you want. So whether it's a dude that is like so close, like 95%, of what you want, but he doesn't have that 5%, and you're like, okay, I can make it work. No, you can't make it work. Say no. Because I guarantee you, the minute you say no to that 95%, the 1,000% is going to show up. And when I say the minute, that could be like a day or it could be like 10 years, but you get the drift. All in God's time. Whatever it is, job, friendships, allow yourself to have the best. The best of what was promised to you when you came here. Allow yourself that. Allow yourself to feel that good constantly. So say no. If it doesn't make you feel good, if it doesn't nourish you, if it doesn't add to you, say no. Say no, thank you, universe. I appreciate the effort, but I really want this thing that you showed me that I would have. I'm going to wait for that. That's one of the lessons of the last year. There's like 10 million. I try to distill them into 5, but patience, letting go is about patience, because it's about knowing that what you're meant to have will come when you're supposed to have it. I have had to let go of so many things and so many people in the last year, so many ideas, so many expectations. And every time it's like this, there's just like, it's like I'm on a roller coaster. It's like I'm on this thing, this ride that's like shaking, my whole body is shaking on the inside. I'm just sitting there like, okay. Okay, this is what I have to do. Okay. So you just breathe through it. But literally, like, the violence is happening in my body because it's so uncomfortable. But, let it go. Let it go. Um, there's always this meme that goes around about your exes and how you leave them in the past. There's so many different types of things that we hold on to. We have friendships where even though the people don't treat us the way we want to be treated, we allow them to stick around because we think that, like, if they leave, are we going to have anybody? And that's another way it's the opposite of gratitude, of saying to the universe, like, oh, you don't have enough dope people out there for me, so I have to hold on to this 95% or this 80% or this 70% person. Because even though they treat me like shit or they do these things that I don't like, and I don't even have the wherewithal to say to them, like, I don't like this, I just accept it. It's what you accept is what you're going to get, right? And so you accept treatment from people that is any place below the value that you believe you have, then you're just going to get more of that, you know? But when you acknowledge what your value is and you set your standards and you say, these are the things that I need to be here in this space. If these things do not exist, I love you, but deuces. Thanks, but no thanks. You know? And so as I think about that, as I talk about that, I'm thinking about like, first of all, shout out to my team. Shout out to Kirsten. Oh, Kirsten's clapping. Thank you. I love you, Kirsten. It's I want to talk a little bit about NOIR Labs today, but it just brings me to this gift that I have of people who are contributing their time voluntarily to get this dream off the ground, and it's a blessing, but it makes it a roller coaster, right? When you're building something from nothing, something that never existed before, and you have to, in a space like that, in any space, you have to come in because you care. You have to come in because you want to be there, right? Socially, whatever it is, like you come into a space because you want to be there. And so because you want to be there, you get to declare like how that space is allowed to treat you, and then if that space doesn't give you what you've declared, then you exit that space. But you have to declare it first. In order for you to declare it, you have to know it. Right? And it comes back to the value. So when you know your value and you state your value, people will treat you according to that value. As long as you let them know, like, when they step out of bounds. They step out of bounds, correct them, bring it back in. It's only when they don't want to come back into your bounds that, okay, that's not good. But you give people an opportunity to treat you where you want to be treated, you'll get what you want from them. So that was about letting go. I wanted to give you a secret about manifestations and affirmations as well. I talked about manifestation being, you allowing your destiny to happen. And one of the ways that you can accelerate that is with affirmations. And affirmations, there's a lot of different ways to look at affirmations, but it's basically you affirming, you saying something, you saying that this is going to happen. You saying like, I know this is going to happen, right? And so some of us do that by writing it down, reading it out loud in front of the mirror every day. Some of us do that, at church on Sunday, right? Screaming, praying out loud, like, yes, I receive this. Some of us do it with our prayer beads and repeat it over and over and over again. But it's basically saying what you expect from the universe, the good things that you expect, right? And like Annie White would say, even if you don't write them down or intentionally state them, you're saying affirmations in your head all the time anyway, right? Because your thoughts are already running and you're already like producing your reality from your thoughts. So you might as well, put some stuff in there that actually aligns with the outcomes that you want. So the secret to affirmations, and the reason my affirmations always come true, give me my crown, like my affirmations. Okay. The reason my affirmations always come true is because God writes them. I allow God to write them. I listen. Writing affirmations is a really great opportunity to hear from God. It's a really great time for God to reveal to you like what's going to happen in your life, because you already have a desire, you already have a thought, and you're like, this is what I want. This is what I want. Okay, I'm going to pray for it. I'm going to ask God for it. And it's one thing to ask God and say, okay, God, can I have this? It's another thing to say, God, I know because you are all sovereign and almighty and all capable and all knowing. Like, I know that you're going to give this to me because you put it in my heart to have it. And didn't come from anywhere else because I serve you. So you put this desire in my heart. You can manifest it. It's easy for you. So I'm writing this as my contract. I'm writing this affirmation as my contract with you, God, and me stating that I know that this is you who sent this message to me. And I appreciate it. And I want it. I receive it. I'm going to take all of it. And when you write that affirmation and you speak it and you recite it, in front of the mirror, or you record it and you play it at night as you sleep. You're rewriting your thoughts, you're rewiring your brain to have new passageways, right? To do new things. And so that process of like moving towards the thing that you want, that's what liberation ultimately is, right? Of you allowing yourself to feel good, doing the thing, being in the place, going the direction that you want to go. You're just allowing. I want to hear questions from you guys. I want to know what you're trying to manifest. We're going to wrap up very soon. If there's anything you want me to be praying for you about, or if you want, some help, just like keying in, if you want to do meditation together, drop some thoughts in the comments. Or hit me up. Yeah. So the last thing I'll leave you with, on this manifestation tip, etc., value, is that prayer is actually listening. I'll touch on this a little bit. Prayer is not really the act of like coming to God and saying, "This is what I want." Prayer is listening and agreeing by speaking it out, right? And so whether your praying process is through affirmations, whether it's through, jumping up and down in church, whether it's through your beads as a Muslim, you're ultimately stating that you agree with God and that you receive the best of what he has to offer you. She has to offer you. They have to offer you. God is all the things. Is all the genders, right? Prayer is listening. Manifestation is listening. It's paying attention to what God already told you when you guys agreed for you to come here. And you deserve everything that you want, every crazy wild dream that has popped up in your head that seems impossible, unreachable. God put it there, so just go get it. just go get it. Just allow it to happen by listening and taking action. Right? I didn't talk a lot about action, but y'all know I'm about action, so that goes without saying. Because what God reveals to you in prayer and through your affirmations is the things that you need to do to make it happen. Okay, so that being said, I'm gonna wrap up. I want to give you just a quick NOIR Labs update. I said I was gonna reflect on NOIR Labs this summer. We had an amazing June, I guess, end of May. Just everything exploded. So many people joined the team. We got so much done. Some things didn't get done. I insist on working at a manageable pace, for the sake of my health, my daughter's health, our joy. So everything's going to happen on the schedule that God wants it to happen. It's meant to happen on. But that being said, September 13th, we're going to have our first big virtual event of the year. We have our NOIR private event, and then after that, we'll have screenings and opportunities for everyone else to connect. So listen out for that. If you're not on our mailing list, go to noirpress.org. Check out our website. If you haven't been on our website, I want to know what you think of it. Go to noirpress.org, click on join us, and you can join our mailing list there. We're going to launch our newsletter this Wednesday. So God help me, pray for me, because it's going to happen. I want to share the tidbits with you guys. I want to share the dope films with you guys. I want to share all the stuff that we're doing. We have so many great podcasts that we've launched on this platform. Unprecedented launched last week. Our writing circle launched last Sunday. Oh my God. I was going to read y'all some of the magic that was written. You have to save that. I'll say that for another time. Yeah, stay close to NOIR Press because we about to be the thing. We about to be the shit. Okay. We're already the shit, but you about to know. Everybody about to know we the shit in a little bit. Okay. So yeah, go and join the mailing list. You can get details for September 13th. And at September 13th, we'll announce our virtual NOIRFest event. So yes, NOIRFest is now a virtual film festival curating the finest aspirational films from across the Black diaspora. And you get to hear it first. You get to see them first. You get to rate them. You get to meet the filmmakers. You get to have dialogues with other movers and shakers and influencers in the world. Like, y'all know I come through. Y'all know my taste is up here. make sure you join our mailing list if you're not already. Follow our socials and look out for our newsletter this Wednesday. I love y'all. Take it easy. Eat your greens. Take your vitamin C. Take your, vitamin D. All the things. Get the sun. Take care of yourselves. Love yourselves. Know your value. State your value. Spend time within. Create space within yourself. And just be and let the good flow forth because you deserve all of it. All right, deuces.